In this part of the tutorial, we're going to deal with shaders and nodes. Now, basically, a shader is basically what gives your objects a color. So this icon here is your shader icon. Now, if we click on it, you can change the base color of your object by clicking on it. But before you do that, make sure you're in the Eevee mode, or this mode here. It's not Eevee mode, it's either for cycles or Eevee. So you click on this one here, make sure Eevee is on by clicking there, make sure Eevee is on. And now, if we can change the color. Now if you look, we can change any color we want in the spectrum. We can also change the specularity or the metallic color, etc. This could be done here. Now, I won't go into all these. It's something that you can play around with, but I just want to give you a quick overview, and that's with principled BSDF. Now, say for example, let's add a different object in here and apply a different material. Let's say for example, let's add a glass one. So we've got add mesh UV sphere. Let's just scale that up. Press the S key, scale it up. Let's right click and then go shade smooth, and then go click on this icon here. At the moment there's no materials assigned to it, just go new. And what we want to do is we're going to add a glass material to this. So if we go click on principled BSDF, scroll up to glass BSDF. Now we've got this glass material assigned to it. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to see, make this object transparent. So we just go blend mode and then just go additive. And now it's additive. Obviously you can change the color of the object, etc. So have a play with the settings here. Okay, let's have a look at the emission shader. Basically, the emission shader is a shader that you can use. For example, if you was creating a lighting effect, etc. You usually use emission for that main light. So if we click on shader, then we go emission, and then just put strength up a bit. Make sure that you're on this last icon here, which is that allows you to what your rendered view is going to look like. So click on there, and then make sure Eevee's on, and let's turn on bloom, and then you should have a glowing effect. If you haven't got a glowing effect, chances are that you've not got the strength up. You can change the strength on higher or lower. So the emission is pretty cool. So that's the emission shader. Okay, let's deal with the node editor and shaders. So if we go into shading, which is icon here, and then you're faced with this screen here. Now, if we then add a shader to this object, so go on shader, and then we go new, this icon will appear. And basically this is your BSDF shader. It's just basically this here, but it's in the format as a node. Now don't be scared of it. It's not nothing to be scared of, the node editor. It's a very powerful bit of kit, and I'm just going to touch briefly on it. So again, in the node editor, if you want to change a color, you can just change the color here. Make sure that you're on the render shader here. Base color. And now it's changing the color. Okay. And again, you can change all the different properties here, metallic, etc. Okay. So what is the node editor useful for? It's useful for a number of things, for applying volumetrics, mixing shaders. What we're going to do here, we're going to just show you a mix shader here. So if we go add shader, mix shader, and then just drag it across here, and now we've got a mix shader in here. Now, say for example, I want an emissive shader mixed with my normal principled BSDF shader. So if I go add shader emission, and then I click on this little dot here and add it to another shader here. Basically what it does, it mixes it into two objects, as in this is like your mixes and this is your output. So that's your, it says material output, and this is your mix shader, and that's one of your shaders, which is the principal BSDF shader, and this is your emission shader. So you can change the factor of the shader to modify. So say for example we got this one red, and we want to see more red. You can see more red by moving up and down, and because like an emissive shader doesn't give out a shadow, it's my go-to place for cartoony style mixing. So if I want a cartoony style a toon type effect, I'll mix the two so I can get a nice blend of emission and shade. It's something that you got to play around with to get right. So don't be scared of the node editor. So as I say, you can change the settings here. You can also say, for example, you wanna you can zoom in, zoom out. You can obviously, by clicking on the object, you can move around it, etc. You can add new shaders by going to the add section here, and then you can say, for example, you want to cut the links. You just can cut a link here. You go node, cut links, node, cut links. So it's just something there to play around with. Don't be scared of it. It's very easy.